You better believe it, baby. And that's why a lot of people say, Tom, you're raising the volume of your voice. I don't know if I care for that. Am I going to want to watch this program tonight?
Yes, you're going to want to watch it tonight.
What is this program about? What is it all about? Are we going to complain? What are you going to complain about? Is it going to be something that I care to complain about? Is it going to be something that I'm interested in hearing you talk about?
Yes.
And folks, I'm telling you, I'm the average guy. I'm average Joe. I'm Joe the plumber. I'm middle America. I'm the guy that you see down at the street corner. I'm the guy that you see pumping gas every day. I'm the guy that works hard and is a registered voter, and I'm the guy that has the right to complain. I'm not going to have my freedom of speech stomped out. I'm not going to have anything stomped out. I'm going to... I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out of my mind with what's going on, with all the frustrations I have. Oh, Charlie, I'm getting a little chest pain over here.
Uh-oh, relax, relax.
Like we're going to be talking about this wacko over there in Tucson.
Yeah, that
this
was just
sick,
terrible.
sick man, this sick individual. And I always like to figure out what makes people. Let's get, you know what I mean?
His brain was on drugs. What
makes people so crazy that they would commit such a terrible act? What is, you know, what happens? These are the questions what has happened in his life that caused him this crazy thought process? What happened in his life to create a shrine in his backyard with a skull head and everything else? What caused him to do all this? What causes someone to be, you're right, you know what?
Religiousless.
You're right. He is to make it a political issue, to try to turn it around and have the disgusting people on MSNBC. Let me tell you, I know this is just a little internet program, a little internet TV show, but let me tell you something. I have the freedom of speech, and God, thank God that Andy thinks this show's entertaining enough to give me some exposure on his network and everything else. But I'll tell you, the thing is when you try to make a tragedy like that into a political issue, and you got the people at MSNBC who are trying to blame. They're trying. You know what I mean?
Speak the truth. They're horrible. That's why nobody watches them.
Exactly. They come and that's what their whole show is now. Rachel Maddow, Keith Olbermann, Ed Schultz, the Ed Show, you know, with his big, you know, whatever the hell he used to do for a living. But the thing is, I don't even care what he used to do for a living.
I don't even know what he does for a living now.
Yeah, you're right. I know.
He's terrible.
But the thing is you got the MSNBC people, Rachel Maddow, who talks out of the side of her mouth.
What is it with that I don't know.
I mean,
it's like Pat from Saturday Night Live years ago.
It might be a medical thing. I don't know what it is, but it disgusts me because their whole show, if you turn on MSNBC right now, you could keep the computer on, watch the show, but turn on MSNBC right now, they'll be discussing how it's the Republicans that caused this tragedy in Tucson, Arizona. That's all their show is. Their show,
absolutely.
That's all they talk about. It's disgusting. This is real America.
That's right.
I might not hold a Harvard degree. I don't know what your educational background is.
Had a Harvard degree.
But I'll tell you what, the thing is I speak from experience. I speak from what 80% of America feels. And when you get the President of the United States at a memorial that is supposed to be talking about the tragedy of losing lives in Tucson, Arizona, and he comes out with a crowd of people that cheer, we love you, Obama, we love you.
Why am I not surprised?
Oh, man. And now the president, you know, and who's his biggest backers are young people.
Yeah,
young people and minorities. So what did he do? He had it at the college campus. Oh. He had it at the college. So
they behave so inappropriately.
So all the people. But you notice how it doesn't affect me. And all the kids in there cheer for him. They forget that it's a memorial. They had T-shirts that they passed out on all the chairs. Obama, you know, this and that about the tragedy. T-shirts.
That's
it was disgusting.
They had T-shirts.
They had T-shirts passed out. It's an absolute horrific tragedy that happened in Tucson. Now, what does he do? The president turns it political. He waits till the end of his damn speech, and I'm going to get a little emotional here. He waits to the end of his speech to talk about how this little girl wants to make America better. He used it for his own behalf.
Right.
He used it for his campaign. This was the beginning of his campaign for 2012, and he ought to be ashamed of himself. Do you think this president's stupid? He's not stupid. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's a brilliant man. I admit he's a brilliant man. He's a smart thinker. He knows how to manipulate the American people. He knows how to manipulate your mind. And what he did was take this little girl's tragedy and turn it around and try to manipulate the American people to think he's the Messiah, that he's the one that's going to change the world because of this little girl's death. He said, folks, this is why I'm upset. You watch this next clip, and you don't tell me. This next clip is at the end of his speech. This next clip was at the very end of his speech, and this is what he said. In order to start his campaign for 2012. He didn't come right out and say, I'm starting my campaign for 2012, because he's a manipulator. I know manipulative people. I have dealt with manipulative people in my lifetime, and I deal with them all the time. I'm a people person. I know what it's like. And this president has used this little girl's death to start his 2012 campaign. And now you watch what he does at the end of his speech. He has to bring up the little girl. He doesn't bring up anybody else. He has to bring up the little girl because he knows how sensitive that is to the American people. You watch what he says here, and you tell me if he's not using this little girl for his benefit, and if you're going to get angry like I'm getting angry. Watch this clip, ladies and gentlemen. Just take a look.
That's what I believe, in part because that's what a child like Christina Taylor Greene believed. Imagine for a moment, here was a young girl who was just becoming aware of our democracy, just beginning to understand the obligations of citizenship. I want to live up to her expectations. I want our democracy to be as good as Christina imagined it. I want America to be as good as she imagined it. All of us, we should do everything we can do to make sure this country lives up to our children's expectations.
Look at him standing there. They're still cheering, ladies and gentlemen. They're still cheering as to what he said. And he's standing there like he's the one that's going to change everything. He's disgusting. He's despicable for using that little girl's death for his benefit for the election in 2012. That's what's disgusting to me. Ooh, man, look at me. I'm getting all puffy.
Rahm Emanuel says, never let a good crisis go to waste.
Yeah, never let a...
I mean, this is the school that this man comes from. Never let a good crisis go to waste.
And if you folks think that he really cared, did you see a thread of emotion? Did you see any kind of emotion?
I saw him drinking water right before he gave his big speech.
Because it's all smoke and mirrors. A lot of people don't realize when you're on camera, it's all smoke and mirrors. Make sure the tie is just right. Make sure the speech is just right. What emotion was in that? Because he makes sure and studies his speech so well and studies everything he's going to say, there can't be any emotion in it. It can't be coming from the heart. It's all written for him. He overlooks it. Everybody writes it for him. There's no emotion involved.
I saw him flipping his papers.
Yeah.
I did see him flipping his papers.
Because there was no teleprompter.
Yeah.
There was no teleprompter, so he had to look down at his papers because he was following his notes. There was no emotion in that. He stood up there like he's the big guy. Right here. You know, right there. What do we got? Oh. And folks, that's how I feel. Look at my face; it's very swollen.
It does make you angry because that really should have been a speech given from a more appropriate place. You know, not at a college campus in a rally-like environment. You know, it's a solemn event.
He should have had it from the White House.
Exactly. The Oval Office would have been very classy on his part if he would have had the speech.
And you know what? A lot of people, a lot of American people can be fooled by by him being manipulative. A lot of people... you know, when you're a good manipulator, let me tell you, I've known good manipulators.
Well, everybody says he had nothing to do with it. It was the crowd. That was out of his control. But he put the perfect setting to get that kind of reaction. Yeah, exactly, exactly. I'll tell you what, I'm so fired up from that little comment there that I'm going to... let me just play one more thing just to show you folks why I'm fired up before we go to break. We only got a 30-second break, or a 60-second break. But the thing is, let me show you another thing. Now he tries to use the event of Gabby Giffords, the woman who got, the congresswoman who was shot in the head, tries to use the fact that she opened her eyes for the very first time, but he had to put it into context that he was in the hospital room. And just like he was God, like he was the Messiah, he walked into the hospital room. And as soon as he left the hospital room, she opened her eyes, like he's the Messiah, like his presence caused her to open her eyes. This is what he wants the American people to believe. This is what he wants people who can be manipulated to believe. He wants you to believe that because he was in that hospital room, that because of his presence and his aura and everything else, that's what caused Gabby Giffords to open her eyes. Watch this clip, ladies and gentlemen, and you tell me if you don't agree with my view here, if you don't agree with my anger towards this particular comment and this particular rally is what I call it. It wasn't a memorial, it was a rally. It sure felt that way.
It sure did. Now watch this clip for 1 second, and you tell me if he didn't use this little sentence to make it seem like his presence was the reason her eyes opened. Take a look, ladies and gentlemen. Let me play this. Here we go.
A few minutes after we left her room, Gabby opened her eyes for the first time. Right after we went to visit. A few minutes after we left her room, Gabby opened her eyes for the first time. Gabby opened her eyes for the first time. Gabby opened her eyes.
He keeps saying it over and over, and the camera shoots right down on her husband. Just, folks, let me tell you, this was a political rally. Right now, I'm sure that we have viewers that are typing in some comments that probably maybe want my reaction, or maybe they want me to just realize what their thoughts are. And let me take a look at what some people have to say over here with my new haircut. Folks, I know. I actually, you know what? Let me just take a 60-second break so I can make a few dollars here. And then I'm going to read some comments, come back on the air, and discuss some of the comments that we have rolling on our text page over there. And
there's no way to hide it. If you drive drunk, we will find you. Cops everywhere are stepping up enforcement and cracking down like never before.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight? Sir, have you been drinking this evening? Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
Make no mistake, you will get caught and you will be arrested. Over the limit, under arrest.